When you finally cut off a narcissist, the very first thing that hits them is pure shock. And this isn't the kind of surprise you feel when something small goes wrong in life. No, it's much deeper, heavier, and disorienting. For them, it feels like the ground beneath their feet suddenly cracked open, exposing the emptiness they've spent years trying to cover up. You see, narcissists live with an inflated sense of certainty. They move through life as though they're untouchable, convinced that their charm, manipulation, and control are more than enough to keep people trapped in their orbit. In their world, you weren't just a person. You were a planet circling around their sun, bound to their gravitational pull forever. The thought that you could one day walk away, that you could choose yourself over them, doesn't even cross their mind. That's why your silence, your distance, your enough is enough moment comes as such a devastating blow. They never saw it coming. In their story, you were supposed to keep giving, keep forgiving, keep bending just enough so that their power stayed intact. But when you step outside of that script, when you decide you're no longer playing their game, you completely rewrite the ending without their permission. And for a narcissist, that's the ultimate betrayal. The shock they feel is not really about losing you. It's about losing control over the reality they work so hard to create. They've built an illusion where they are the center, the one in charge, the one who holds all the strings. And you, in their mind, were never supposed to cut those strings. But when you did, you shattered their illusion in one bold move. This is why the shock runs so deep. It forces them to face something they've avoided their entire life, the truth that their power is not permanent. It's fragile, conditional, dependent on you playing your role. And once you refuse, their entire act begins to collapse. In those first moments of shock, questions start swirling in their mind. How could this person leave me? Don't they know who I am? Don't they realize they need me? But notice something important. Those questions aren't born out of love. They're born out of ego. What hurts them isn't that you're gone. What hurts is that you dared to walk away, that you proved they weren't as invincible as they told themselves. Some narcissists will react to this shock with desperation, reaching out, trying to pull you back with sweet words, apologies, or sudden changes. Others may wear a mask of indifference, pretending your absence doesn't matter. But don't be fooled. Beneath the surface, the shock lingers. It rattles their mind because in their world, you were never supposed to choose freedom. And yet you did. That's why your decision hits them like lightning. It's not just an ending. It's a declaration, a powerful message that says, I see through the illusion. I will no longer play your game. And I am stronger than you ever believed. And that right there is the kind of shock a narcissist never forgets. After the initial shock of being cut off, what follows is a deep and painful blow to the narcissist's ego. And this isn't just any bruise. It's a fracture that cuts right through the fragile foundation of who they believe themselves to be. See, a narcissist's ego may look tough, even unshakable from the outside. They project confidence, superiority, and control as if nothing can touch them. But in reality, their ego is made of glass, delicate, breakable, constantly needing reinforcement. And you, whether you realized it or not, were one of the main sources of that reinforcement. Every compliment you gave, every sacrifice you made, every moment you put their needs above your own was fuel for their inflated self-image. You weren't just in their life. You were their mirror, reflecting back the greatness they so desperately wanted to believe in. As long as you validated them, as long as you admired them, their ego remained intact. But when you cut them off, when you withhold that validation and refuse to play their game, the mirror shatters. Suddenly they can no longer look at you and see proof of their superiority. Instead, they see cracks, flaws, weakness, things they've spent their entire lives trying to hide, and this is where the real pain begins. Because for a narcissist, rejection isn't just about losing a relationship. It's about losing their audience. You were part of the stage they stood on, the applause they counted on, the spotlight that kept their performance alive. When you walk away, the curtain falls, and the silence that follows is deafening. The wounded ego makes them feel humiliated. In their mind, your departure sends one loud message. I see through you. You are not enough to keep me here. Whether you ever said those words or not doesn't matter. That's the meaning their ego assigns to your decision. And to someone who thrives on pride, admiration, and control, that's unbearable. This is why they may try to rewrite the story. Some will spread lies, telling others that they left you first, or that you were the problem all along. Others will try to guilt you into returning, painting themselves as the victim and you as the heartless one. These reactions aren't signs of strength. They are symptoms of a deeply wounded ego, scrambling to protect itself from collapse. But beneath all the noise, the truth is simple. Without your validation, they're left facing their own emptiness. They know, even if they'll never admit it, that their power depended on your belief in it. And once you stopped believing, the illusion cracked. The irony is that narcissists spend so much of their lives convincing others, and themselves, that they are superior, invincible, and irreplaceable. Yet the moment someone like you walks away, their entire self-image crumbles. They're left exposed, fragile, and desperate. So remember this: their wounded ego is not proof of your cruelty. It's proof of their dependency. You were never weak for giving them validation, but you are strong for taking it back. Because in doing so, you reminded them of a truth they can't stand to face. Without you, their reflection is nothing more than shattered glass. After the initial shock of being cut off, what follows is a deep and painful blow to the narcissist's ego. And this isn't just any bruise. It's a fracture that cuts right through the fragile foundation of who they believe themselves to be. See, a narcissist's ego may look tough, even unshakable from the outside. They project confidence, superiority, and control as if nothing can touch them. But in reality, their ego is made of glass, delicate, breakable, constantly needing reinforcement. And you, whether you realized it or not, were one of the main sources of that reinforcement. Every compliment you gave, every sacrifice you made, every moment you put their needs above your own was fuel for their inflated self-image. You weren't just in their life. You were their mirror, reflecting back the greatness they so desperately wanted to believe in. As long as you validated them, as long as you admired them, their ego remained intact. But when you cut them off, when you withhold that validation and refuse to play their game, the mirror shatters. Suddenly they can no longer look at you and see proof of their superiority. Instead, they see cracks, flaws, weakness, things they've spent their entire lives trying to hide, and this is where the real pain begins. Because for a narcissist, rejection isn't just about losing a relationship. It's about losing their audience. You were part of the stage they stood on, the applause they counted on, the spotlight that kept their performance alive. When you walk away, the curtain falls, and the silence that follows is deafening. The wounded ego makes them feel humiliated. In their mind, your departure sends one loud message: I see through you. You are not enough to keep me here. Whether you ever said those words or not doesn't matter. That's the meaning their ego assigns to your decision. And to someone who thrives on pride, admiration, and control, that's unbearable. This is why they may try to rewrite the story. Some will spread lies, telling others that they left you first, or that you were the problem all along. Others will try to guilt you into returning, painting themselves as the victim and you as the heartless one. These reactions aren't signs of strength. They are symptoms of a deeply wounded ego, scrambling to protect itself from collapse. But beneath all the noise, the truth is simple. Without your validation, they're left facing their own emptiness. They know, even if they'll never admit it, that their power depended on your belief in it. And once you stopped believing, the illusion cracked. The irony is that narcissists spend so much of their lives convincing others, and themselves, that they are superior, invincible, and irreplaceable. Yet the moment someone like you walks away, their entire self-image crumbles. They're left exposed, fragile, and desperate. So remember this: their wounded ego is not proof of your cruelty. It's proof of their dependency. You were never weak for giving them validation, but you are strong for taking it back. Because in doing so, you reminded them of a truth they can't stand to face. Without you, their reflection is nothing more than shattered glass. Beneath the narcissist's mask of arrogance, behind all the grandiose claims of superiority, lies one of their deepest, most carefully hidden fears: the fear of being replaced. On the surface, they want you and everyone else to believe they are untouchable. They act as if they're the prize, the one you should be grateful for, the person no one could ever measure up to. They throw around lines like, "You'll never find anyone better than me," or "I'm the best thing that ever happened to you." But behind that bravado is a trembling voice whispering, "What if I'm not enough? What if they realize they can do better?" And when you cut them off, that whisper turns into a roar. Because suddenly the possibility of replacement is real. No longer trapped in their cycle of manipulation, you are free to find someone kinder, stronger, and healthier. Someone who values you without strings attached. Someone who doesn't use your love as fuel for their ego. To the narcissist, this idea is terrifying. Not just because they lose you, but because being replaced confirms the very thing they try hardest to deny, that they were never as special, powerful, or irreplaceable as they pretended to be. Think about it this way. Their entire identity is built on maintaining superiority. They thrive on being the only one in your life, the one you depend on, the one you sacrifice for. So when you walk away, you prove that they're not the only one. You prove that their power isn't absolute. And the thought of you standing next to someone who treats you with genuine love and respect is, to them, pure humiliation. This is why many narcissists rush to replace you as quickly as possible. They may flaunt a new relationship, post pictures online, or brag about how happy they are with someone else. But make no mistake, this isn't love. This is damage control. It's a performance designed to mask their insecurity and convince both you and themselves that they're still desirable, still in control, still the prize. The irony, of course, is that while they scramble to prove their worth through new attention, what really eats at them is the idea of you moving on. They can parade their replacements all day long, but deep down, they dread the day they see you genuinely smiling with someone who values you for who you are, not what you can give. Because in that moment, all their illusions collapse. To them, being replaced isn't just rejection. It's proof of their greatest fear, that they were never truly irreplaceable. And worse, that you're actually better off without them. But here's the truth. Their fear of replacement is not your responsibility. You are not meant to stay trapped just to protect someone else's fragile ego. By leaving, you give yourself the chance to find healthier love, deeper peace, and a future free from manipulation. And whether the narcissist admits it or not, that's what terrifies them the most. Not that you left, but that your life will shine brighter without them in it. After the shock of your departure, after the sting of their wounded ego and the creeping fear of being replaced, another layer begins to surface in the narcissist: rage. And this rage is not a simple burst of anger like anyone might feel after a difficult breakup. No, this is deeper. This is volcanic. It simmers beneath the mask of indifference they try to wear, waiting for cracks to appear. Outwardly, they may pretend they don't care. They might shrug, roll their eyes, or even laugh it off like losing you doesn't matter. But behind that mask, the fire burns hotter with every passing day. Because here's the truth. Rage is the narcissist's defense mechanism. It hides their fear. Fear of losing control, fear of being irrelevant, fear of facing their own weakness. Instead of admitting, "I'm hurt," or "I feel abandoned," they transform that pain into fury. Rage feels safer to them than vulnerability. Anger keeps them from confronting the shame that haunts them. This is why their behavior can become so unpredictable when you cut them off. They may lash out directly at you, sending cruel messages, calling you names, or trying to provoke you into reacting. Other times, they'll take the more covert route, spreading gossip or smearing your reputation to anyone who will listen. They want others to see you the way they now see you, as the enemy. But make no mistake, all of this stems from humiliation. In their mind, you leaving wasn't just rejection, it was exposure. It was proof to the world that they weren't as perfect, powerful, or indispensable as they wanted everyone to believe. That kind of humiliation is unbearable for them, and rage becomes their way of fighting back. They might tell others outrageous lies about you, twisting the story so they look like the victim and you look like the villain. They may accuse you of the very behaviors they were guilty of, projecting their own flaws onto you so they can dodge accountability. Or they might try to sabotage your new beginnings, interfering with your relationships, your work, or even your peace of mind. All of this chaos is designed for one purpose: to regain a sense of power. Rage gives them the illusion that they're still in control, that they can still pull the strings even after you've walked away. But notice what's really happening. The more they rage, the more they reveal their own weakness. Because a truly powerful, secure person doesn't need to destroy others when they walk away. Only someone deeply threatened feels the need to lash out this way. Here's the part that matters most. Their rage is not a reflection of your worth. It's a mirror of their fragility. You didn't cause it by leaving. You simply exposed the truth that was already there, that their power over you was never permanent, and their superiority was never real. So while their anger may be loud, destructive, and cruel, remember this: it comes from fear. Fear of losing you, fear of being irrelevant, fear of being forgotten. And though they'll never admit it, that fear proves what they don't want you to know. You always had more power than they did. Here's something few people ever realize about narcissists. Buried deep beneath all the arrogance, manipulation, and rage, there is a quiet, hidden layer of admiration for the very person they tried to control. And this admiration surfaces most strongly when you do the one thing they never expected, when you break free. On the surface, they'll never admit it. They'll act as if you were weak, ungrateful, or replaceable. They may mock your choices or belittle your courage. But inside, in the silence of their private thoughts, they can't help but notice something undeniable. You did what they could not. You walked away. See, narcissists live in cages of their own making. They spend their lives trapped inside the prison of their ego, endlessly chasing validation, attention, and control. They crave freedom from insecurity, but they don't have the courage to face themselves honestly. They mask fear with arrogance, shame with rage, emptiness with manipulation. In short, they are bound by the very chains they place on others. So when you finally cut them off, when you choose peace over chaos and self-respect over illusion, a part of them, though small and silent, admires you, because in that moment, you embody a strength they lack. You prove that it is possible to step outside the cycle, to choose authenticity over performance, to walk away from the prison they still live in, and make no mistake, that strength threatens them. Your freedom exposes their bondage. Your clarity highlights their denial. Your courage shines a light on their weakness. That's why they'll work so hard to dismiss it, to cover it with insults, gossip, or cold indifference. Because acknowledging your power would mean admitting their lack of it. But envy and admiration are two sides of the same coin. They envy the peace you find in distance, yet secretly wish they could feel it too. They envy your ability to live without their approval, yet secretly respect the independence it requires. They envy the way you can rebuild and grow without them, yet secretly long for the same resilience in themselves. This secret admiration is why, even after all the rage and games, many narcissists circle back. They may reappear months or even years later, trying to reconnect, testing the waters to see if you'll let them back in. Part of it is about regaining control, yes, but another part, the unspoken part, is their fascination with the fact that you were strong enough to leave when so many others stayed. And here's the beautiful irony. The very thing they tried to crush in you, your independence, your self-worth, your voice, becomes the thing they end up respecting the most. They may never say it. They may never show it. But deep down, they know. They know you showed courage they've never had. They know you lived the freedom they secretly crave. So while they hide behind pride, understand this truth. Your strength has already changed the story. You've proven to them, and more importantly to yourself, that you are not defined by their control. And though they'll never admit it, that truth leaves them both envious and quietly in awe. When you finally cut off the narcissist, it can feel heavy. You may wrestle with guilt, with questions like, am I being cruel? Am I giving up too soon? Should I have tried harder? That's exactly what they want you to believe, that walking away is an act of heartlessness. But here's the truth. Cutting them off is not cruelty. It's clarity. You're not punishing them. You're not seeking revenge. You're not even trying to hurt them. What you're doing is choosing peace over chaos, freedom over control, and self-respect over illusion. You're refusing to keep pouring your energy into a cycle that only drains you. And that, my friend, is not cruelty. That is survival. That is healing. Narcissists thrive in confusion. As long as you're doubting yourself, questioning your worth, or bending under their control, they win. But the moment you find clarity, the moment you recognize the truth for what it is, the spell breaks. You no longer see their manipulation as love. You no longer mistake their control for care. You no longer excuse their cruelty as just who they are. You see the reality with open eyes, and that clarity gives you strength. Walking away is the ultimate declaration of freedom. You're telling yourself, I deserve more than this. I deserve peace. I deserve respect. I deserve love that doesn't come with conditions or games. And in making that choice, you step into a version of yourself the narcissist never wanted you to find, the version that knows your worth and refuses to settle for less. And here's the part that terrifies them most. Your decision proves the truth they've spent their entire life running from. Their power was never real without your participation. They only held control as long as you allowed it. They only looked superior as long as you reflected it. They only felt irreplaceable as long as you treated them that way. But the moment you stop feeding that illusion, their power vanishes. This is why your freedom is so powerful. It's not just about leaving them. It's about reclaiming yourself. It's about breaking the cycle that kept you small and stepping into the life you were always meant to live. A life where your voice matters, where your boundaries are honored, where your love is met with love, not manipulation. The truth is, you didn't lose by cutting them off. You gained. You gained clarity. You gained freedom. You gained the chance to rebuild, to rediscover who you are outside of their shadow, and to create a future built on authenticity instead of illusion. And though they may rage, smear, or sulk, none of it changes this one undeniable fact. You won. Not by fighting, not by arguing, not by proving them wrong, but by walking away. By choosing yourself, so hold your head high. Cutting them off wasn't cruelty. It was clarity, freedom, and truth. And it will remain the most powerful decision you ever made.